taking one of our points.
Welcome to a 1v1 on Flaminville Approach. I know map names. This one's Flaminville Approach, and I know that. Nosliw versus Panzer Grenadier Angreifen. I have not seen Nosliw play a game of Co2 maybe ever. I almost don't even know if I've ever seen him play this game, because he's more of a Co1 name that I recognize from way back in the day, but he's assuming this is the same person. He's playing now. And we're going to see him versus Angreifen. We just did a cast of Angreifen. He was using a Luftwaffe supply. Couldn't make it work. He was also against Soviets. Apparently against US forces, he's going to try to make elite troops work. In this opening engagement for the South House, Noslew's already off to a terrible start, getting gunned down by 2 squads of Grenadiers, trying to brute force the squad out of a house early game. Clearly didn't work out for him very well. 2 more squads of riflemen going hard for the north. Fuel will be able to get that under control uncontested. But it looks like Angreifen is off to a pretty good start. Ooh, MG42 in the house. Almost picks up wipes on retreat right there. Ouch.
Territory secured. Einsatzbereit.
Couple Grenadiers making their way through the south, doing so unopposed, and with the machine gun in the building, it looks like Nosliw is going to struggle a little bit. If he does attempt to, I mean, there's no way he could win an engagement for the south without fielding all of his forces, so for now he's going to reinforce and back cap, sending this rifle squad more towards the middle and probably try and set up or execute some kind of flank early on. There's Lieutenant queued up right there. It still doesn't display an I really wish they would change that, but Lieutenant being queued up and a mortar also being queued up here in Angreifen's base.
We have a mortar team available for deployment.
And that early mortar, that's an interesting decision actually. I'm curious about that. I wonder if that's going to pay off. Angreifen definitely has a lot of territory under his control early on. Noslew's simply going to throw his squads into some buildings. Just try and hold the line on this field for a little while he tries to bring the rest of his forces to bear. Maybe get that lieutenant on the field for maximum firepower when he does choose to engage his opponent. He does force a nice retreat right there. That might weaken Angreifen significantly here on the left, give him an opening. He's also going to catch that mortar way out of position. Doesn't even get to fire around, and is pushed back into the base. Of course, now that he knows Noslew's camping these buildings a little bit, mortar might help him to force his opponent to change his behavior a little. But either way, Angreifen is about to get cut off here in the center. But Grenadiers are on their way to try and shut this down. 3 squads of riflemen against 2 squads of Grenadiers, medium range plus green cover available for his usage. But he's actually going to charge. Charges right up to point blank. He doesn't want to hold still for too long, knowing that that mortar is on the field. He's going to keep those squads in motion to try and avoid that mortar. And he does get out of there just in time. So far, not a single round has connected nicely. There's the lieutenant making its way onto the field, catching an S-mine cluster going down. Does significant damage to them as they're laying it. 1 cluster is planted. Riflemen are not available in the retreat path, and those pilots will get away alive, but this flank is devastating, and the machine gun also will be forced completely off the field right as the utility car is hitting the field. So it looks like Nosliw, despite being off to a rough start, is taking very strong control of this game, and Angreifen's decision to go mortar will only slightly delay his AT gun. Because of the reduction in Osterteching costs, he's still going to get the Tier 2 structure up pretty comfortably. Armor skirts are in progress here on the M20, and a minesweeper is on its way towards the road.
Defensive smoke now available for armor.
To get those S-mines cleaned up, and sweeping S-mines takes kind of a ridiculously long time compared to how fast they plant, but whatever. He's going to get those cleared up easily enough. He eats a Panzerfaust here on his M20 as well, trying to keep his opponent's munitions down. He will back that up, get that repaired. And Angreifen is in a very similar situation to how he was last game, getting boxed into his base again and struggling to take territory on any front. Grenadiers forced to retreat right there. These Grenadiers also going to retreat.
Knock it off and listen up. Attention! Orders! Crowd borders! Contact! MG-42!
Grenade toss at the MG-42. MG-42 gets wiped. Nicely executed flank by Nosliw again, and Angreifen is in trouble. The 222 hits the field just in time to deal with the M20 right here. Maybe try to push that back. All the shots are hitting the green cover wall, though. And the M20 is actually winning this fight. There we go. That burst connects a little bit better. Lieutenant will steal that MG-42 and get away. Maybe. Oh, not quite, not quite. Angreifen guns it down, and the MG-42 will remain under his control. 222 gets too close to a rifle squad, though. Rounds the corner. I'm not sure that'll get away. That's got, what is that? Main gun is clearly still firing, right? Okay, well, main gun I think destroyed. Also engine damage right there. Did I like see something wrong? I could have sworn it was still shooting. Meanwhile, Pyo's taking control of the fuel point over here. And everything in Angreifen's base will be forced to retreat and reinforce. The MG-42 still in Angreifen's control over here on the right side. Rear echelon troops are going to continue harassment. Pathfinders fielded, that is of course airborne chosen, are just staying in this building to provide vision. He's actually going to leave the building a little bit, start firing on that mortar. At this range, Pathfinders will actually have a pretty decent chance of posing a threat to that because of their crit. Oh, or not. Oh my god, I can't believe that miracle mortar right there. Okay, so much for that plan by Nosliw. Pathfinders get wiped in one shot and the mortar will continue its advance. Paratroopers, however, have been fielded, upgrading it with an LMG. And will continue to put pressure on Angreifen in this area. Mortar is pushed away from the right side by the M20, but Grenadiers are on their way to scare it off with the threat of Panzerfaust. 222 is being repaired here in the base, and still no tech from Angreifen, who can't get any fuel under his control, and Nosliw continues to work his way towards some sort of higher tech units. No major, no captain, nothing really yet. Under production, he's just collected enough fuel to go major, which is now 120 fuel, a significant cost increase, but with the map control he does have, he should definitely be able to get a Sherman out before his opponent gets a tank of his own. These three squads making their way towards the right side will push away those Grenadiers easily enough, and the 222 is actually hunting for the damaged engine M20 this play. This deep attack by Angreifen, he finds the M20 way out of position. The crew has no choice but to get out. Angreifen sticks around just long enough to destroy the M20, and his main gun is destroyed there. And he will have to pull that to safety. He pops smoke to make sure that a bazooka isn't going to destroy him. He will have to dodge a little bit to get away from those riflemen, but it looks like he should be. It's still firing, right? Both, yes, the autocannon and the thing are. What is this even? Alright, main gun destroyed crits on 222s don't work. Just FYI, Relic. They clearly don't do anything. So that might be something to, you know, look into a little bit. Mortar will be forced to retreat right here, and riflemen standing in a green cover position.
God damn it! Someone get us out of here!
Grenadiers are going to try and break out and recover some territory. As for victory points, Angreifen has actually done an incredible job of maintaining clock control. He's actually in the lead right now, which, despite like his map control situation, you wouldn't think that's possible, but somehow he's managed to keep victory points totally under his control. Nosliw not really prioritizing VPs as much as resources, but now that it's transitioning past the 10-minute mark and tech decisions have more fully evolved, he will, of course, try and set up a triple cap, and he has succeeded for some time. The clock starts ticking against Angreifen, and Nosliw will probably try and keep that going for as long as he can with a tier 4 unit? No, he hasn't even queued up a major. He still has 160 fuel on the field. He's actually going to get a machine gun out. Wanted to stick around for a rifle grenade on that scout car, but he got greedy, honestly. Probably should not have done that. And a full squad of riflemen will go down right there. Lieutenant has no choice but to retreat from this engagement. These riflemen, heavily wounded, had to retreat. Panzer Grenadiers on the field are going to win this engagement, but a grenade toss right there was a little off, actually. I'm not even sure this squad's going to get away. Oh my goodness, barely. That's a lot of manpower bleed, though, for Nosliw, who has been pushed completely off the field. And his reaction to that is to get a 50 cal. He's obviously not got the fuel for a Sherman. If he did get a major, he'd still have to wait quite some time to get that tank out, and he seems to need it, because he is getting pushed back on all fronts, mostly due to the light vehicle play this game, I think, has really swung things in Angreifen's favor. His ability to hunt down and kill the M20, where Nosliw failed to destroy the 222, has created quite the momentum swing, and Nosliw is now struggling to maintain control of this game. The clock will start to tick in Angreifen's favor again. Both players still above 400 VPs. Noslew's early resource advantage not being capitalized on because it's just not enough of an advantage, I guess. And now that the fuel situation is turning around, Angreifen is going to jump into battle phase 2, start making his way towards the tank, and of course the Tiger Ace, which is at 17 CPs now. Wow, I didn't even know about that change, but 17 CPs now for the Tiger Ace will be a threat eventually. But the game will have to run very long for that to hit the field. But this looks like a game that might run long. This looks like the back and forth has been sufficient that might be happening this game. We'll see. I don't think Angreifen has really played his hand. I mean, he's gotten G43s, but I don't think he's used troop training. So G43s could be various things. I don't know how. I wasn't paying close enough attention to his loadout, actually. I don't know if he had any other G43 doctrines, but there's a pretty decent chance that Nosliw is aware that a Tiger Ace is something he needs to maybe prepare for later. Pretty quiet right now. Mortar doing some light damage to squads in the north, while Nosliw takes back territory up here. We'll do light harassment of the south with a minesweeper and a spare rifle squad. Ooh, that's going to be a nasty early retreat right there. Suppressed immediately by that burst, and not having those paratroopers available for engagements is going to make the coming fight for this fuel point quite difficult. I'm not 100% sure his lieutenant can win the engagement against these Panzer Grenadiers. Although with grenades research, there's a decent chance that Nosliw maybe could take this engagement. He has access to smoke for the MG42. Panzer Grenadiers do get caught out of cover a little bit right there, and the engagement is one nicely executed flank by these 3 units. MG 50 cal jumping in the building. Some really nice flanks this game by Nosliw. Really nicely played in a lot of different engagements. Just keeps them going, keeping his opponent off the field, getting territory back under his control. Hopefully he will find a way to get this cut off again and turn the game back in his favor. Angreifen, however, with G43s purchased on a couple squads, will be getting stronger and stronger in these medium-range engagements. He's got a lot of veterancy, and he's also getting very close to a tank. There's tier 3 up in his base. Just a little bit more fuel, and his first tank will be hitting the field. Meanwhile, I think a major's in production. Major is in production. And the Sherman will definitely be hitting the field before Angreifen's tank by at least a minute or so. And that will give him a bit of a window of opportunity to maybe pick up some wipes and equalize the manpower game, because he is behind. He lost a rifle squad due to a little bit of greed on the scout car. He lost his Pathfinders due to a crazy mortar. So that's, and I don't think Angreifen has lost any full squads yet, so that's making things difficult. It's very hard for him to keep up. He almost managed an early MG42 steal, but not quite. So Angreifen is definitely winning the infantry and light vehicle game, and that's why this game has been on such a razor's edge. And here's the Sherman on its way. Once that Sherman hits the field, that'll be That'll be Noslew's chance to turn the game back in his favor. He's gonna have to hit the field hard with it though. He probably wants to get rid of this scout car. With 11 kills, Vet 3, it's killed the M20. It has been quite a nuisance, and he just has not found an opportunity against it yet.
Contact! Enemy infantry!
Task complete. The enemy is overrunning one of our capture points.
No wonder I wasn't hitting anything. Had my sights at the 500. Ready to kick ass and take names. The cavalry has arrived.
Tank support is here. Sherman ready. Our supply line's cut. Germans are making a push. A capture point is under attack.
Panzer Grenadiers moving up against the lieutenant. Lieutenant jumps in the building. The BAR will be firing at those Panzer Grenadiers, and there's the Sherman. Goes straight for the central house. An AT gun is perfectly placed for this. I think the Sherman might be safe where it is. Wilson does, or Nosliw doesn't like it. He's gonna pull back a little, and he doesn't actually have a line on this house here either. So brought to half health already. Lieutenant not being monitored. Oh no. Okay, maybe that lieutenant was being monitored. Maybe that was just bait. Well executed bait. Luck. Who knows? Either way, Panzer Grenadiers go down. Lieutenant gets out with a sliver of health remaining, and the Sherman pulls back for repairs. And the Panzer Grenadier squad is probably one of the best pickups that Nosliw could have gotten right there. That's a lot of manpower to replace. 340 manpower. And honestly, that HE shell was probably about as lucky as that mortar against the Pathfinder squad. So I guess they're even. I guess they're even on crazy lucky explosive shots. Grenade toss on the door. Angreifen doesn't take the bait. It actually does pretty decent damage to the squad either way, but the paratroopers have no choice but to retreat right there. MG firing on some, ooh, gets a pretty nice opportunity here actually. Will prevent repairs, will do light damage to these units, some AoE suppression, but the mortar is firing on them, and they may not be able to stay in there for long. Sherman starts working on the Grenadiers in the building once again. The AT guns, there's 2 AT guns on the field now, and have had to pull back a little bit without appropriate protections in this area against infantry. Angreifen probably didn't feel comfortable leaving them in such an aggressive position. AT grenade does connect with the 222 right there. We may be looking at an opportunity for the Sherman to hunt this down, but the Sherman is currently preoccupied with the Grenadiers here in the center. We'll force that retreat. We could be looking at a wipe right here. There it is. Really lucky shot. That's 2 lucky shots in a row for Nosliw, and another wipe. That is going to make things difficult for Angreifen, who continues to work his way towards the tank. I assume he hasn't purchased anything yet. He could get a Stug, which we know is a lot better than it used to be. He was trying to get one out last game, but we may see him just going straight for Panzer IV, which he now has the resources for. No, he will just continue to reinforce in his base. Whatever tier 3 unit he decides on, assuming it won't be an Ostwind. Actually, I almost don't even want to say it won't be an Ostwind, because I know he likes Ostwinds a lot, and he's got double AT gun, but it's probably not going to be an Ostwind. When it does come out, that Sherman's window of opportunity to be really aggressive and pick up wipes will pretty much close. But I would say that Nosliw has definitely gotten his money's worth out of this unit, and the game continues not to really be in anybody's favor. The victory points continue to tick slowly against Nosliw, but the infantry game is starting to swing back towards the U.S. forces. Sherman in danger, gets clear maybe just in the nick of barely time. The lieutenant was not being monitored as the Sherman was being pulled back to safety, unfortunately. And the lieutenant will get wiped. That was a bit of a tactical error there by Nosliw, but he, sometimes you just have to pay more attention to one unit than another, and wipes like that are going to happen.
The enemy is overrunning one of our capture points.
So Lieutenant goes down, but the Sherman does get away. There's the Panzer IV. Grenade midway through the engagement, but Angreifen is paying attention. These riflemen trying to pick up the scout car right there, but also, wow, Angreifen paying attention at everywhere where it matters. He dodges a grenade, dodges an AT grenade right there, and everything will survive this series of engagements while Nosliw will lose a lieutenant squad. So Not looking great. Another Sherman is in production, but 2 Shermans on the field to 1 Panzer IV. Nosliw should still have an advantage, and he's had enough map control. He's got a decent chunk of resources actually under his control right now, and if he can continue being the aggressor in the south, he can probably pull Angreifen's harassment away. Angreifen senses that this is probably a good opportunity for him to get some territory back in the north while Nosliw is off the field, reinforcing and healing. But with 2 Shermans on the field, depending on how Nosliw uses them, this harassment may be ill-advised. If he sends both of them to help in the engagement in the south, better chances of winning down there, but if he splits them and sends one north, he might be able to pick up wipes on harassing infantry squads. 50 Cal's about to get wiped in this building due to mortar fire, so it has no choice but to pull back to safety.
A capture point is under attack.
That's a Panzer Schreck! Ready, set!
Panzerfaust does not damage engine, hitting the Sherman. A full health Sherman with a Panzerfaust is practically just a waste of munitions, honestly. Ooh. Squad does get away, however.
Ready, 50 Cal's up.
Capture complete. A capture point is being overrun.
That could be a wipe as well. There it is. Medium tanks being used as counter-harassment units on both sides of this battlefield. Works out a little better for Angreifen though, and a rifle squad is picked up. And that bazooka squad fires one time, just chipping away at that tank's health a little bit before making that retreat, getting to safety. The tank up here is receiving some light repairs, and AT guns are on their way. A little overextended almost. If both Shermans were to swarm those 2 AT guns, we
Veteran Tiger crew is ready to join the fight.
could see a dramatic momentum swing. Control of AT guns is very important, but Angreifen has had excellent team weapon control in both games I've cast of him today, not ever losing even a single team weapon to his enemy. Those brief windows of opportunity where a team weapon is overextended are very important to capitalize on as a result, because he seems to be quite good at team weapon control.
Germany now holds the victory point.
Paradrops an AT gun for himself as he has skipped Captain Tier and feels that he needs it to combat that Panzer IV, with his Shermans being relegated more towards anti-infantry duty with their high explosive rounds. Panzer IV is not going to get too aggressive. Sherman backs up just slightly while the AT guns move to back it up, and Nosliw knows that over-aggression against that Panzer IV would probably not end well. The P-47 rocket strafe is available to Nosliw. He's got the munitions stockpiled. It looks like we may see a climactic engagement here. He couldn't quite get clear of those AT guns' arc of fire, though. This AT gun's been cleared, and right now, this engagement is going very badly. Grenade toss on this machine gun. Sherman moving around on the flank. The tossing of that grenade will deny him the ability to use the P-47 for a few precious seconds here, and he may need it to turn this engagement in his favor. He will continue to circle strafe the AT guns, and there's the P-47 being called in. LMG paratroopers are trying to laser beam those AT guns down. Oh, and a horrible, well, main gun destroyed crit didn't matter that much there in all honesty, because the Sherman gets popped like a balloon. P-47 continues firing, but it's not quite able to finish off that Panzer IV. 222 is available here for anti-infantry duty. Those paratroopers just got wiped by something. I don't even know what happened. Maybe the Panzer IV got a lucky shot, but it doesn't matter. Clearly, Angreifen pulls into the lead massively in that engagement. Nosliw fails in that engagement to execute the way he needed to turn that game decisively in his favor. And honestly, even if he had won that engagement, hands down, there was a Tiger Ace on its way. So, well played by Angreifen, who will take this game, this was a good game. This was a fun one to watch. We'll take it. 25-minute victory. GG. Axis wins.